Yeah, for those who are joining the channel, I'm Ian Pilon. I have wrote the book about contextual intelligence, and I am fascinated about the intersection between humans and computers. And in writing Cultivating Clarity, I got to interview 9 people, learn all about context, and then framed it around customer discovery. And now it's sort of like popped off in the AI world, in particular for the engineering layer. And people call that context engineering, harness engineering, so on and so forth. And it's all about customer context. And on the show here, I meet people that are building in agents. And we have the first place winner from a hackathon, Karthik. I'll let him introduce himself in a minute. But what we did this past weekend was we ran a voice hackathon in Waterloo. Any developers, 25 projects submitted, shortlisted to 10. We had an AI agent in the loop help us shortlist it. And then for the last 10, we had human judges in the loop that then scored the top 3 projects. And Karthik won first place. So we're going to get into that. It's exciting about what he built. Before we get into that, I'll let him introduce himself. So go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Yeah, I'm Karthik. I am a product manager, and throughout my career, I've built new products. I've worked in a lot of industries like aerospace and defense, medical device manufacturing, and recently in construction tech. And yeah, I've been building with AI agents for the past few months, and excited to see how and where this takes me. And thanks for Ian, Prabal, and T for putting up a great hackathon in Waterloo. It was thoroughly enjoying, and the culture and the response from the participants and to see what every team built was really amazing. And I'm genuinely thankful for Ian and team.
Oh, thanks, man. It was such a good vibe. I think we're going to do more of those, and everybody is excited about what the next one brings. But for the sake of what happened on the weekend, let's dive into that. So there was a lot of building going on, and you were solo. So I was curious to see how many people were going to roll solo versus how many people would form teams. And sure enough, you win first place. So I'm going to just do a screen share and then talk about sort of what you had built, and then you can sort of speak to the flow that you went through over the weekend.
Okay.
Karthik took home top spot, and it was sponsored by Smallest AI and RunAnywhere AI. And your submission earned the highest score across both AI agent and human judges. And the project was called Ask the Alert, which what this is about is it transforms static emergency broadcast messages into real-time two-way voice communication during a tornado warning, but I believe it can be any type of emergency. Instead of staring at your screen, you can sort of talk to the experience and get real-time help, which is absolutely really, really cool, especially that this was local on device. So what blew our judges away wasn't the idea, it was the execution. Fully offline capable, the entire voice pipeline, speech to text, LLM inference, text to speech, runs on device via anywhere, and they're a YC batch venture. So it works even when cellular networks are overwhelmed during a disaster. Very, very cool. Custom safety guardrails to catch dangerous model hallucinations in life critical scenarios. This I want to talk to you more about. And then production quality Swift TypeScript code with a hybrid RAG system for real-time offline data. This is exactly the kind of project that makes Hackathon worth running. Ambitious, technically rigorous, and genuinely life-saving potential. Wow, congratulations on that. Let's get into talking about it, okay? So when we kicked off the event, did you have any preconceived notion about this idea and you were just waiting for an opportunity to work on it, or did it come to you during the event?
No, I kind of had this idea prior to the event, like only because of the event, I got this idea. But, prior to the event, I was talking to my friend with whom I built SAE Baja race car in my undergrad days. And then like we were just talking about vehicle to vehicle communication. And he is an alumni of Concordia in Montreal. And then he was remembering a research paper by some of his professors on vehicle to vehicle communication. And we just took a look at it. We put it into Notebook LLM and saw what was happening. And it was really cool to see how they were using LTE to use vehicle-to-vehicle communication to prevent accidents between cyclists, motorists, and a car. So from there, that was weeks ago, and then we just left it off like that. And then the hackathon comes on, and then I'm thinking what to do for a hackathon. And in my mind, I had this idea. Okay, so vehicle-to-vehicle communication using LTE, cool idea. What else works on an LTE? That's an emergency alert. It's still using primitive technologies like LTEs to blast out alerts to mobile phones. And then I remembered myself in these situations when I was once in an active shooter alert situation during my grad school days. And then when I was in Ontario, when I came to Ontario, I had my first tornado alert in my life. So I did not know what to do. So I thought that was a good use case that I could explore. And that's how I got the idea. And I came with 3 ideas to the hackathon, and this was the only one that was that seemed to be executable within a weekend. Yeah, that's how it was.
Oh, that's very cool. So then let's back up to the active shooter experience and the tornado experience. So obviously that emotionally would have an impact on you. And if you remember during that time, were there seeds of that experience that then let you think about building something on it this weekend? Were you like, okay, I remember this, and I remember sort of like not having either fast communication, or what was it about those 2 experiences that were emotionally resonant for you to want to do something related to that?
Yeah. So on the active shooter alert, it was grad school days, and then there was an active shooter alert. The university was shut down. Everyone was shut down. My roommate was locked up in the library.
What university was this?
University of Southern California,
Okay.
Los Angeles. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a scary time. We did not know the gravity of what was happening at that time. We were still young. But what I thought about that particular situation was, how did we get updates, right? So, we were all worried, like we were communicating through phone with one another. And then like we were using Twitter, Facebook groups, and we were checking the DPS, the Department of
Just to
Public
try to
Safety.
communicate with each other to see what was going on?
Yeah, communicate and get updates, like official updates anywhere from the web. So there was no...
In a state of emergency. Yep.
Yeah, in a state of emergency, we're all looking at the phone, like we don't know what to do. Like everyone is anxious and, things like that. Glad it worked out with no one getting hurt.
Yes.
But my next experience with Ontario tornado. We don't get tornadoes in Southern California. It was pretty new for me. I'm here, and I get my tornado alert, and I did not know what to do. I just frantically clicked on the link in the alert, and then it just opened up a government website, and then like I had to read through all the things, and then like I was sitting in my basement reading through the stuff for like 20 minutes, and then I thought it was safe to come out because it said...
What was that experience like when you said, I clicked into this and I had to read this? Can you go back to that moment of time, and were you less anxious about this, or just the same as the active shooter event? Or was it any
I was
different?
really anxious because tornadoes, I don't know. I haven't seen one, but I know what it is. But, what will I do if a tornado hits my home? And if I'm hurt, or even if I survive, like where do I go? How do I come out? If I'm in my basement, I don't have any supplies there. I'm totally unprepared. My phone might die within a couple of hours. So I did not know what to do at that moment. So the only piece of information that I had was the website that came in a link with the alert itself. And then I had to read through it and see like what was it. And also there were other websites where I can track, okay, there's a tornado alert that was issued, and then like now the risk is off and things like that. But I had to search for that information. It doesn't come to me.
Yeah. Okay. So now you're out here surfing the internet trying to figure out what to do. And how long did that experience last?
Probably about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah. Did you have to evacuate or do anything, or did it get called off?
No, it got called off eventually, but the anxiety was something that was real. And yeah, those 2 situations were the ones that I personally experienced, how anxious it is for people when they are in emergency.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
I wanted to do with this was I wanted to build a two-way communication between the public and the officials issuing these alerts. So when you're in a state of emergency, whoever is issuing the alert must be able to know what the public is thinking. You do not get to send an alert out to thousands of people and not know what they are thinking or what questions they are asking.
Yeah.
If you're going to scour the internet, look at Twitter or Reddit, that's only the loudest voices speaking up there, not the
Yes.
entire public
Yes.
sentiment coming out of
Yeah.
those channels. So I wanted to build that. And then the other one was very critical. Like when in the moment it had to work, it has to work, like it has to give life-saving instructions. So two things were my main aim, and there are still portions of it that are working now that needs to be improved and that needs to be built basically with this app. I plan to keep working on it, but yeah, that's where I am.
Very, very, very cool. Love it. Now I'm imagining, so yeah, you could, well, let's actually back up to before what the art of the possible is, really help maybe an audience who doesn't know tech at all sort of understand how the technology you used, Run Anywhere AI, or whatever stack you used at the hackathon, maybe help just somebody who doesn't know technology understand what that really means when we say, you know, the communication works and if the internet's down, this is sort of why it works. Do you know how to sort of convey that to the general layman?
Let me try.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the alert system currently it's operated by Canada Alerts, and it uses a technology that your mobile device provider uses, like a 4G LTE or 5G LTE, and then they blast out these emergency alerts when there's a real emergency, and it has a character limit of about 300 to 600 characters, I believe. So you'll have a small message saying, "Hey, something is going on. You have to act now." From there, what can we do with this alert? So when I built this, I wanted this to speak to the public or speak to the user. If they have any questions about that alert, it has to speak back to them. For that to happen in an emergency situation when we don't know internet will be there or not, we need an LLM or AI that runs on your phone. It's not ChatGPT or Gemini that only works with internet, but it's your phone having an LLM, like pretty much like a Siri or something like that. So it runs on your device, and then when an alert comes in, it has all the information to provide you with instructions on what you should do in that situation.
And what you did was you could talk to it. So I think that's an important thing for the audience to understand is that in the experience you built, you don't have to read, you can just talk. And it's native to, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to swap that out to speak any language. Is that true? You could just sort of like, no matter where you are, you could just, I know you didn't have that in your, or maybe you didn't have that in the hackathon build, but that's something that I believe would be trivial to implement now, right, Karthik? Is that, hey, you respond and it can either detect your voice and then just speak to you. You can just talk to the experience, which is incredible, rather than trying to read documents. That throughput of getting the information into your brain when you're under stress or duress is very challenging, right? Because you're anxious. You're anxious. Anything to mitigate the ability to get critical information into the human brain under stress is absolutely I think a meaningful product or a meaningful service or a meaningful experience because it's solving a real problem. So I love what you built. Now back to, I think, some of your early interests around vehicle to vehicle communication. I've been very curious about how agents are going to communicate. So if this device is an edge device by Run Anywhere AI,
Mhm.
and it holds, I guess, a local model on there, is it able to then talk to other devices? So let's say the active shooter or even the hurricane, am I able to then use it as a walkie-talkie? So let's say now somebody else is in a different part of the building. We do have that communication between people. Is that possible? Or?
Well, that's a really cool idea. Like I honestly don't know at this moment, but there's a lot of research literature out there around this vehicle to vehicle and using 5G LTE. So I would probably do more research, read some research papers and then see. But that's really a powerful idea.
Okay, well, yeah. So, and it's just, you don't have to have the answer. It's just a conversation piece where I know you've done vehicle to vehicle communication, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't require a internet connection, or does it?
Doesn't
It
doesn't
doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't. So you can have two cars, which are just objects,
Hmm.
communicating data to each other.
Hmm.
Proximity distance, don't hit me, I won't hit you.
Yeah.
So in theory, then, I think there's a constraint to work around on the emergency alert broadcast, where I believe you said it has a character limit, right? So you can't squeeze everything into the alert, but you can then potentially do what you did, which is like, okay, what's next? Here's the broadcast, and then here is either a tool the government or any emergency services company could use, and it now says, here's what needs to happen next. You know,
Hmm.
you're in a state of emergency. There's just so much situational awareness data that can be added to that experience that I'm very excited about exploring, because I believe, like, in both of those stories where you were anxious, rightfully so, there's probably ways that everybody could mitigate the severity of such a tragic event, which is like the ability to communicate between devices offline. And I know there's ways you can do this now. So it'd be interesting if you have, like, part of your experience then branch out to say, okay, where, maybe you're in a situation, you wonder where your loved ones are, or whatever, or even just other people who are giving you insight into, hey, it's safe here, or hey, it's not safe here, don't come this way. And then, the same way a car is not trying to hit each other, you're using the network effect of collected humans and machines to stay away or mitigate the danger zone. So I love actually what you build. It's absolutely just killer. So what happens next then? So now you win, and you mentioned you're going to keep working on it. What does that mean? Where are you taking it?
I'm thinking of joining Builders Club, and trying to see if I can continue building on this concept and then see if it can be really applied in real world production workflows type of thing. And probably for the next few months, I'll continue building this one and see where it goes.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I have a lot of relationships. I want to help support you with this as well. So in doing this type of broadcast, where we're telling the story of the builders who are actually building meaningful products, services, experiences, other people are going to then watch this, and they're going to see this, they're going to hear your story and get involved. And that's what I love about sort of supporting the network of builders, is that I love getting the story told that nobody has even heard of yet. This is one of them. So when this is done, I will share it out. And other people who might have other bits and pieces of an experience might want to join in and contribute. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing with the podcast. This out. I have relationships. I'll help you take it to where you want to go next as well. Okay, cool. Is there any place are you on X or just LinkedIn? I can't remember if you have an X profile.
I don't have X, just LinkedIn for now.
Okay. And I could share this in the video notes after. I will
Okay.
share Karthik's LinkedIn details so they can follow him. Anything else you wanted to share or cover?
Yeah, I was thinking about the use case that you mentioned about offline communication between devices and also updates during emergency, right? So that was a concept that I had envisioned for this product, not built yet, but what it will do is, like, in terms of an emergency like a school shooting or any other stressful events, if the public or parents need to know what's happening and
Yes.
or you're not allowed near the school,
Yes.
and you're only allowed to look for updates in local news channels and X and Reddit. So I'd want to cut that latency and remove the friction and
I love it.
have direct communication between the affected parties and
Yeah.
the authorities.
Yeah. Somebody needs to have a command and control
Mhm.
access to calm the chaos,
Yes.
because there's a lot of information flowing around and people need to know certain facts at the right time. I was in Colorado on a business trip, and I got a phone call from my wife that there was a shooter or a lockdown situation at one of my daughter's schools. And it happened to be, I don't know, it was a drug deal going bad in the back of the school, police chase, and they did the same thing. Okay, we got to lock everybody down. So I'm super interested in where you're going with it. Would love to help you support and combine what I can do to sort of figure out where to take it next, because I believe there's real utility, and I love things that are like, yeah, this is going to help people. And I think the brightest engineers in the world should be working on these types of things. So I'm really super stoked that you built what you did. It's well deserved to get first place. And I'm telling everybody this story. So everybody I'm talking to, I'm like, yeah, you got to see this. I think what else I would love to do is maybe before we close off is, I don't know if you have anything accessible and to put you on the spot, but do you want to do a screen share of any of what you've built? So let's do that. Yeah, do a demo, walk everybody through the story, and then that'll be a great way to close off so that people could see the experience of where it's at now.
Okay. All right. Let me try screen sharing. I'm just firing it up today.
Yeah, take your time.
Might not work, but yeah, let me.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Share screen. Okay. Here's the authority dashboard.
Hold the mic up, Karthik, if you don't mind, to your mouth.
Yeah. Here's the two portions of Ask the Alert. So the experience that I said for the authorities lives in the web for now, and then for the public lives in the mobile iOS app. So if the authorities want to send an alert, they click send an alert and send it. I mimic like the Canada Alert System, kind of their UI for this one. But the real differentiating factor here, which I need to work on more, is to get anonymous feedback from the interactions that the public make with the alerts, and then populate it for the authorities in this dashboard, so they can see, what were the top questions, and if they want to publish an update for the public to calm their nerves and give relevant information, they can publish an update to the existing alert. So that's something that's in progress. And for now, I'll demo what I currently have. For the hackathon, I only focused on tornado alerts because tornado alerts made up about 90% of Ontario's alerts last year. So let me type it in.
So this would be an example of the administrator side about to push out the alert, correct, Karthik?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're typing
so
something
the audience...
sorry, they were typing something like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just didn't hear you, but you got the mic up. That's cool. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, this would be the authorities, like what they would be using to send out an alert. And then like they can choose the region and then preview and send. Okay. What do I do now?
I didn't hear the alert. Hold it to the mic. Is it saying something?
Yeah, it is.
Or turn up the volume and hold it right to the mic so we can hear it.
Okay. Let me try this one more time. What do I do now? I live in a high-rise building.
The mic's not picking it up, but that's okay. What I just want to tell the audience is that when you see that visualization moving, Karthik can actually hear the phone, but we can't hear it on this side. But just to give everybody a heads up, when you see that green wave, there is a voice on the other side telling the person there's an emergency, and then he's talking to it. He can ask it questions. He can say, okay, well, what do I do next? And this is where the experience then helps have more informative information that can be curated to this type of emergency. So, and let's, did you want to share more about that, Karthik? Or is that it? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. I think you did not hear the response.
That's okay. We get the gist of it. And really, what I want the audience to understand is, so he could hear that, he can talk to it, and have an experience by just communicating with it without the internet. And a lot of people undervalue that, but that is a big deal in an emergency. I mean, you can have the internet, but if it goes down, you still have access to deal with the emergency. Can I ask you about another thing related to the information that's informing users or people what to do next? Because it's running a local LLM on device, I'm assuming that's a small model, and then we give it the context. So are you giving it let's say there's an emergency playbook from Ontario on how to deal with tornadoes, that becomes part of its knowledge brain or its assets? Is that how it works?
Yes, exactly. So I used Canada's tornado alert documentation and region of Waterloo's alert documentation, and use data chunks from it to store some critical piece of information on device. And if the device is connected to the internet, it can hit a Supabase where I have some vectorized information where it can do some PG vector search and find out more details and communicate back.
Very, very cool. And then if, let's say the government wanted to use something like this, they could potentially have different modules. So one for tornadoes and then one for active shooter. And then there's a playbook that if that alert goes out, this is sort of like the brain that is being used to help people in that situation. And I guess you could just sort of hyper contextual responses with the playbooks that the government has. And it's just really using that as part of the way that you're communicating with the LLM or the AI, is that it's just using that documentation in order to communicate with you. And this brings us to the other part that I mentioned earlier I wanted to drill in on, is hallucinations. So everybody that has been played with LLMs understands at this point that they hallucinate, which is a feature, not a bug. And what I mean by that is, when you're using ChatGPT, you're using a neural network that can do creative things. It could tell you a story. Now, in a business context or a deterministic context where you want, like a calculator, for example, 2 + 2, you don't occasionally want it to say 3. It should always say 4. You should have determinism. And a lot of the engineers that are actively building have went into the world of agents or RAG systems, and they have ways of dealing with building systems that have no hallucination. So it's one thing to communicate with an LLM and it has some hallucination when you're communicating with it, playing with ChatGPT. It's another thing when you're building a mission critical experience like Karthik did, and he has engineered the hallucinations out by doing RAG. Or what else have you done? Like, can you explain to people who don't understand this difference about how you did it?
Yeah, I used like a hybrid RAG. I store some chunks of data from the actual official documentation on device, and the LLM can use keywords to search from that chunks of data and answer in case of network going out. And then if the network is there, then it could reach Supabase, which is a cloud-based database where more detailed information gets stored, vectorized, and the LLM can search through that database and get you the information that you need. Yeah, so that's how I did it. But yeah, for your point about hallucination, that's the major thing that took much of my time when building this out. And I think it still needs to be improved. It hallucinates, and then I have some hallucination guardrails, like if hallucination is detected, a rail gets hit, and then like it gives a
Nice.
generic response.
Nice.
I don't want to give any wrong information, or I don't want any wrong
Yeah,
information to go out, right? So if it
correct. Yeah.
hallucinates, if the confidence threshold is low, then it gives out a generic response. So tinkering with it and improving it and how to improve that process is the most challenging. It worked out for this one particular situation for the tornado warning for the hackathon, but yeah, that's a huge problem to solve, and I'm looking forward to solving it in the future as I work through it.
Very cool. For those that don't know what RAG is or vectors are, so basically when Karthik says he's got like the government of Ontario's sort of like playbook on what to do in emergency, when you send an LLM like ChatGPT to that, you want it to make sure it can reference it deterministically and bring back the results of explicit content from a document. So retrieval augmented generation. But it's just really a way to say that we have the neural network of a computer system that is going to go look for information and bring it back. So we have to engineer ways for that to have specificity and not ambiguity, right? We're not asking it to write a story and do cute poetry about this event. We're saying in this context, we want to do something that is very specific. So you need to follow these rules. Well, with probabilistic systems, this is an engineering challenge. It's not impossible. I've worked on this myself. And there are ways that you can mitigate this and then use confidence scoring and other stuff under the hood that gets you very reliable results or better than a human, depending on the scale and complexity around, looking through large data sets. Or another way to say it to somebody is, imagine like the response book was as big as the encyclopedia, right? And normally isn't, but let's just say it was, it would be a hard task for an LLM to go through all that information, find the needle in the haystack, come back and reliably give you deterministic results. But engineers like Karthik are working on this and then doing hyper-contextual, smaller context models and sort of like applications, I believe, are just the way to go when you want reliability out of deterministic systems. So I am so excited to see where you go with this and where you take it next. I can't wait to actually play with it. I haven't had an opportunity to play with it. I was busy running the event, but now that it's out in the real world, or at least I'll look at it with you. It's just
Sounds good.
amazing. Congratulations, great job, well deserved on first place. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, I just wanted to say a big thank you to you for conducting the event and having a chat with me as well. Yeah, really grateful
Awesome.
for the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's people like you that come out to the events and are building things that matter for fun over the weekend. That's my kind of vibes, right? So really, it's you and all the other builders that came out. There was just so many good projects too, but I only have so many hours in the day, so I'm going to be doing like whoever wins first place. I just like, let's talk about that,
Hmm.
and maybe second and third, but maybe the next event. Just absolutely critical that all these stories get told from the builders that are at the emerging development of the next wave of what humans do with technology. We're at a tectonic shift, and it's the builders that are just doing this for fun that turn into future companies or even open source projects that just like need to exist. So I love it. Karthik, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast with me. It's been such a pleasure, and we're going to continue the conversation after this, and I'll leave your name and LinkedIn profile in the show notes. So if anybody wants to follow him, you can follow him on LinkedIn, and that will be on the show notes below. Thank you so much, Karthik.
Thank you.